I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 27 of Playing from the Tips, the preview podcast from Golf Australia magazine that covers the week ahead in professional golf around the world, with our team of so-called experts offering their 2 cents worth on potential winners. I'm your host, Jimmy Emanuel, charged with the task of keeping things remotely on track and collating the enormous results of the week prior. This week, we're covering the return of the PGA Tour of Australasia in the Northern Territory, the next round of the PGA Tour's playoffs, the coming together of the DP World, LPGA and Ladies European Tours, as well as the resumption of the Asian Tours International Series. Joining me to attempt to complete that task and provide some insight and entertainment is firstly a columnist who clearly is about to ask the R&A or Martin Slumbers for a favour, judging by this week's column for Golf Australia magazine. I speak, of course, of Rod Morri. Rod, welcome.
Thank you very much. Martin, if you're listening, you got my email. No, he isn't really.
Slumbo.
Slumbo. That's right. You Slumbo. Good Lord. That's the end of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you happy with that, Logue? You happy with that being public?
No problem.
And next, we should really be cueing some triumphant return music, but I didn't have time at 5 o'clock in the morning to organise it. Because the most successful tipster in world golf, not fact-checked, mind you, Adrian Logue is finally back in Australia and back in your speakers, having spread the word of golf to Romania and Japan. Logue, welcome back.
Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, I'm on the elite player schedule. You know, I only turn up for the designated events in the playoffs. But like Tiger, you know, sometimes you can miss a playoff. If you're going in to the FedExCup Playoffs,
2 weeks suspension. Wrong podcast. Sorry.
With a substantial, lead, you can afford to miss week one. You need to rest yourself for the finals.
This is why they've tweaked the format so that you don't.
This is why they've tweaked the format so superstars like you, in your own words, can't take a week off.
You're more the VJ Singh, I think. Did Tiger ever take a week off? VJ did.
Yeah, Tiger did. Yeah.
Tiger took weeks off. Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's a power move. That's what you can do when you reach this.
It is a power move. That's fair.
One day, can we just do an episode that is just reading out Justin Ray's facts about Tiger Woods? Just the whole episode, because that is just stunning stuff.
Sure.
And then we'll follow it with the episode of just playing every clip where Logue gives himself a rap and people can make their decision on what they like better. A quick reflection on a week where Lilia Vu became a 2-time major winner and world number one. Cam Smith won again and brought his mates along for the ride. And Lucas Glover went back-to-back, but his profuse sweating got more attention from social media. Any major thoughts from last week's golf?
I was staggered by the Lilia Vu win and the manner in which it unfolded. I never expected someone to run away with that tournament, especially on the Sunday.
No,
it was,
me either.
And look, full credit to her. I won't say I thought she was a one major wonder, but I thought there was going to be some more time for her to recover. She really sort of struggled after winning that one early in the year, so full marks to her. It's a completely different style, of course, to the one that she won. She sort of stamped herself now as, okay, what was it Lee Trevino said? You can fluke one US Open, but you can't fluke two. You can fluke, quote-unquote, a major, but you can't fluke two. That's quality golf.
Absolutely.
Notably, I think she had an injury of some sort to explain her poor performance after the Chevron. But she's back to full health now and, tremendous performance. Very impressive.
It was very cool having Christina Kim in the commentary box, who's known Lilia Vu since she was about 15 years old. Yeah. And you got a bit of an insight into actually who she is and what sort of player she is. And Christina Kim certainly didn't sound surprised that she was out there winning a second major. So
the only thing I'll say about that, Logue, you're right, but injuries damage confidence in golfers.
Yeah,
you go for a long period not playing well, and before long you start thinking, is it the injury or have I just lost it? Or particularly when you've won a major. Golfers have talked forever about the head starts to spin after you win a major, the world changes, everybody treats you differently. It can be hard to adjust to all that.
Interestingly for her, she's shown grit and resolve of this sort before in her career.
Yep,
and
couldn't agree more.
It's very impressive. It's great, I think, to have a 2-time major winning American near the top of the game.
Absolutely.
That's
and bookend.
really significant.
First
one since Julie Inkster in 99 that an American's won 2 majors.
Wow,
so
really?
Very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone on the commentary did read that without, I think, designating American because, of course, Jin Young Ko did it in 2019. So very impressive. Speaking of last week, it was a tale of close calls with just 3 top 10s, most notably Rod with Charlie Hull. And we had 2 of the top Aussies we picked. But remarkably, 5 of our tipsters finished tied 11th around the traps. So that takes us to 140 top 10s and 18 wins in 2023, numbers that will, of course, exponentially grow after this week with Logue back in the
Yep.
Can we afford to quit and just bet on golf? Is that what you're saying, Jimmy? We're doing so well, or are you not?
Yeah, I'd have to look through it to how we actually would bet on it, but I'd say we could go pretty close. Yeah,
Be on Mike tails, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, every friendship group needs a hero. Logue.
There's no I in team, Logue.
On to this week, and first let's look to home and the TaylorMade Building Services NT PGA at Palmerston Golf and Country Club, where I will be this week. Started in 1995, played for 2 years, went off the schedule, came back in 2016, and it's produced some really quality winners here with Austin Batista, the last winner of arguably the coolest trophy in world golf back in early 2022. That was actually the 2021 edition because of COVID. Palmerston Golf Course undergoing works, adding a mini golf, getting a new clubhouse and a few other things in the intervening period. Golf course is an interesting one with plenty of water, trees, dog legs, very flat piece of land, but some wonderful hole names. Always good when you get hole names. You open up on the bus stop. Then you get to
good.
You get to many tiers,
Strong
just
start.
a couple of holes into your round. You get to the Devil's Elbow a little bit late, and you can be tripped up by La Trappe late in the round.
Oh, I love it.
That's outstanding.
Love it, the trap.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Is it a good idea to have
designed
water
by-
hazards on a golf course in NT? Is that a good idea, given the trophy? Would you
I
have
think
water hazards on your golf course in the Northern Territory?
I'm pretty confident there's Crocs in there. I'm going to go check it out, but I'm pretty confident there's Crocs in there, yeah.
Sorry, mate, you were saying.
Designed by Glenn Campbell in 2005 when the original 9 holes became 18. Your winning scores here are typically your 19 to sort of 20 under mark in the smallish sample size. It's actually quite a good field of local talent up in the territory this week, including experienced players who've played a lot in Europe like Jake McLeod and Maverick Antcliffe, local boy and former winner Aaron Pike, PNG Open winner Lachlan Barker, guys who've been based in America like Michael Sim and Brett Coletta, as well as a recent PGA Tour starter in Daniel Gale, young guns Louis Doblar and Josh Greer, just to name a few. Not a lot of easily tracked form here, however. A lot of these guys have been over in America playing mini tours or playing pro-ams around Australia and doing that sort of thing. So it's a bit of Nostradamus work to try and get a pick. So why don't we turn to our very own Nostradamus? Logue, you can jump in first.
You mentioned a player that's got my attention from among those there, and that's Daniel Gale. I think he's going to be chock full of confidence. As I said, he's gotten a few opportunities in his career now. I think he's going to follow the Dave Micheluzzi route and go to the next level. And so he's my pick.
That'd be great to see.
Daniel Gale.
He's the most interesting golfer on the Australian Tour, I reckon, Daniel Gale.
If he follows that route, he might be able to get a bigger mirror and some lighting, so when he gets ready to go to the golf course in the morning, he can match up his patterns a little more.
I think it's deliberate.
I'm not into his dress.
No, it is
aesthetic
deliberate.
at
He
all,
loves the way he does it. Power to him. He thinks he looks great, so that's great.
Yeah, he owns it.
But he doesn't have to look at it. The rest of us do. It's
That's
like a
true.
bad
That's
hairstyle. You can't sort of see.
Like his golf swing too. He really
very
he
much.
owns his
Absolutely.
his
Owns
aesthetic.
it.
Yep.
Rod?
You got to respect that. I'm going to go with Brett Coletta. As you said, hard for form. These guys, it's tough for these guys. How will they know how they're going? You know, you don't know till you put your scorecard in the pocket and that sort of stuff. But Brett Coletta is a better player than we've seen so far. He's had his off-course issues as well. And a tournament like this is a perfect one for a player like him to build confidence.
Perfect. For mine, I'm going with Michael Sim. Was beaten by his best mate Aaron Pike in a playoff back in 2020 here. And he's been winning a couple of pro-ams around Queensland the last couple of weeks. So Simmy, or John Huggins' favourite, Quasi-Scott for me this week. So now let's head to the PGA Tour's FedExCup Playoffs. And our big event specialist, Adrian Logue, take it away.
Okay.
You've earned your spot in this field, Logue, over the course.
You have. Okay. And it wasn't a Cam Davis effort where you played your way in last week.
That's
you were
exactly right.
You were early. You could have taken last week off.
You were in the Tour Championship after 7 weeks of the season. There was never any doubt about it.
Absolutely.
So this week is the BMW Championship, the second leg of the FedExCup Playoffs. FedExCup, all one word, as I think you pointed out last week, Jimmy.
Still traumatised.
I am traumatised by that. I read it. I can't unsee it now.
And did you know there's an arrow in the
Yeah.
FedEx? I never knew that. Someone pointed that out. Probably, I'm horrified at that too.
Yeah. We're down to a 50-player field now. The BMW Championship, or as I like to think of it still as the Western Open,
Absolutely.
it's being played at Olympia Fields, which is also the venue for the 2020 BMW Championship. And on that occasion, it was won by John Rahm, who also goes into this week leading the FedEx Cup, all one word, just ahead of Scott Scheffler. However, it's Patrick Cantlay, the loser in the playoff last week with Lucas Glover. And by the way, we're really living in the era of Lucas Glover.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's his world. We're just living in it.
Yeah. But interestingly, Cantlay's the defending champion, and he's attempting a three-peat this week. So if he wins this week, it'll be his third BMW championship in a row, all at different golf courses too.
You know three-peat's not a word, don't you?
Why? Why isn't it?
It's not a word.
You can just make it a word.
It's not real.
It's hyphypnated.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
It's hyphenated.
maybe it is a word if that's the case.
Yeah.
But you're running them together like the
And,
FedEx Cup.
it's spelled P-E-T-E if it's Peter Senior making 3 wins in a row. Pete.
Oh,
Very good.
okay.
There is actually another three-peat on the line, and as I mentioned, it's Lucas Glover's world. We're just living in it. And he's won the last 2 PGA Tour events. So if he wins a third, it'll be quite a unique three-peat, or unexpected three-peat coming from Lucas Glover after his wins in the Wyndham and last week in the FedEx Cup, or one word, playoff event at the St. Jude Championship.
Seriously, the Lucas Glover story is staggering. I saw some video of his old putting stroke yesterday.
Yeah.
It is horrific.
Yeah.
You can't unsee it. And to do what he's done is just off the charts impressive.
One of the purest ball strikers in world golf. Like one of the guys that other players pay attention when he hits balls. Just sounds different. And
Especially
just
irons.
Has just figured out how to get it in the hole once it's on the green, and it's just dangerous.
A pro's pro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Pro's pro. And no glove. A great look.
Yeah. No nominative determinism with the name Glover.
Yeah. And life has belted him. You can tell when he talks. He's just like he's a man. He's not beaten. He's been beaten, and now he's just getting on with it. And whatever happens, happens. You know, if I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. I love it. It's fantastic.
It could have easily quit as well. Like, had enough money, and with how bad the putting was, could have easily walked away and didn't. So, very impressive.
Some real grit there. Of interest to Australians is that, as Jimmy mentioned, Cam Davis snuck into the top 50 with a strong finish last week. So his FedEx Cup, or one word, playoffs continues. Jason Day's strong year continues. He's also in the field at position 21. We'll see how Jason Day goes. I think whether he's out of gas or not, or whether he's going to get a third wind this year.
It's been really inconsistent, hasn't it? Really up and down for him. It's either been really good or really not good.
Yeah, that's right. But, he's still in there with a chance. So that's good to see. As for Olympia Fields, this is a bit of a treat in PGA Tour terms. We don't often get to see a PGA Tour event at such a quality golf course. It's the North Course. It's a 36-hole facility. It actually used to be a 72-hole facility.
Wow.
Back in the 1940s, they ran into some financial trouble and sold 2 of their golf courses. But now 36 holes. We're playing the North Course this week. It's a multiple major championship host. It's hosted 4 men's majors, but most recently, and I think most notably and memorably for probably us, because it happened post a renovation at the golf course, made it very interesting viewing, was the 2017 KPMG Women's PGA Championship.
Danielle King.
Yep.
At 3-wood.
Which, featured an amazing 3-wood and an incredible finish from Danielle Kang, a real breakthrough win for her. Originally, though, the course, it's got great pedigree, originally designed by Willie Park Jr., and it's a little bit of water out there, but it's your classic American parkland course, completely landlocked, a lot of bunkers, but nice rolling land, and actually with the tree management there's some quite good vistas opened up throughout the course. But very demanding shot making course. The Fittingly as well, I think it should be noted that this course has hosted the Western Open on five occasions, and in fact, if you count the 2020 BMW Championship, this will be the 7th time it's hosted the Western Open. On to picks. I always feel at this time in the season there's some players who are just happy to still be there, and they just don't seem to factor in these last couple of events at all, particularly that'll happen next week. We just seem to see it every time at Eastlake, that some players are just like, oh, I made it, and then just check out.
Sorry, especially since we went to this stupid handicap.
Whoa.
Especially.
Whoa, you poked the bear.
If you're starting down in 30th, 10 shots behind John Rahm, why would you bother?
That'll be a treat for us next week.
That'll be a treat next week. I look forward to that. Yep.
There's other players who want to do well but are just completely gassed, and I think it's a very long season, and I kind of think Jason Day's going to fit into that category. He want to do well, but just whether he's got any gas left in the tank, we'll see. And there's other players who come this time of year just seem to, it's their time of year, and Cantlay's one of those. He just consistently seems to lift himself for the FedEx Cup or One Word playoffs. And
is all one word part of FedEx Cup all one word now? Is that all one word?
Yeah, absolutely.
FedEx Cup all one word is all one word.
And Rory invariably does well. Rahm's another one of those. Scheffler in more recent years done well. Tommy Fleetwood is perhaps the surprise packet of the top 10 players heading into this week. Is having a great year, but still lacking that PGA Tour win. And that was further highlighted painstakingly last week by missing the playoff with Glover and Cantlay by one shot. He missed a putt on the last to make that playoff. So examining all of those factors, particularly the fatigue, and considering Olympia Fields is very much a strong shot maker's course, I'm going for youth and ball striking this week and picking Victor Hovland.
Oh, nice. Good idea.
Nice. Okay. Rod, some thoughts from you?
I'd first just like to remember Stephen Leaney finishing runner-up here in the 2003 US Open to Jim Furyk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Olympia Fields, which I remember watching that final round and cheering hard. Jim Furyk was too good.
I remember being completely unimpressed with the golf course that year.
Yes, me too.
It just looked incredibly boring. It looked like every golf course that hosted American majors at that point in time.
It looked like Jim Furyk had just been set up for Jim Furyk to win that 3 US Open, which is not to knock Jim Furyk as a terrific player.
Post the renovation, which I think was in 2013, it looked amazing for the 2017 KPMG Women's. Yeah,
I'm going with Tommy Fleetwood. I know you said he's a surprise, played well last week. It's about time he won something in America, and why not this? So go Tommy.
I was also going to go with Tommy Fleetwood initially because
you can't
he has
now.
to win there. What's that?
It said you can't now. All one word.
Well, I can do what I want because I'm the host, but I'm not going to because I'm just going to throw it at Rory. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Absolutely.
He just hasn't won. He's
going to be thereabouts.
He's
going to
be
going
thereabouts.
out on a limb.
It's not a crazy off the grid kind of choice. So why not?
No.
Mathematically, he's going to win something, isn't he? Mathematics tells you that at some point soon Rory's going to win something, so you're kind of safe to start picking him every week now.
Yeah. I thought the same thing, but I thought it's probably going to be Eastlake next week for Rory. He's very hard to stop.
Well, you're taking the week off now. Is that what you're telling us? He's already given us his pick for next week. He's out.
Yeah, that's right. You maybe get some better odds for Rory this week because of his position if you get in now for FedEx for next week. So there you go. All right, Rod, let's move along to the co-sanctioned ISPS Honda World Invitational presented by Aviv Clinics.
When I agreed to do the preview for this, I didn't realise just what a complex series of events this was going to be.
No. When the list of tournaments was offered this week, I saw this one. I thought, no, I'm going to jump in and get.
You jumped in
PGA
on the FedEx Cup Playoffs, all one word, long before anyone had a chance. So yes, as you say, 3 tours: LPGA, LET, and European Tour. Clearly, because of the time of year where it falls in the calendar, what's going on in the States, particularly for the men's field, it's not the strongest field on either side. A lot of the LPGA players who you thought might be in the area, having been at the Women's Open last week, they've taken the week off. So Galgorm Castle Golf Club and Castle Rock Golf Courses in Northern Ireland, they're 45 minutes apart. This tournament's based on the Vic Open model. Concurrent tournaments, separate trophies, separate purses. My preference if you're going to have mixed events. So that's a positive. But yeah, 45 minutes apart for the golf courses. That's brutal, is it not? it's going to really make for an interesting one. I suspect that would probably not have helped attract a lot of players. That's a tough way to play a golf tournament for the week. Two completely different golf courses, Gulgong Castle on an old castle estate, Parkland, very sort of American-style golf course, really beautifully maintained, etc., etc., etc. Castle Rock, probably a bit of an undiscovered gem from what I'm reading. I'd never heard of it, but it's up there near Port Rush, which would get overshadowed by. Lots of good reviews about it. Had some cult influence later in its development, so it'll be really interesting to see that. I don't know what sort of player can play both of those courses 45 minutes apart over 4 days. There's a whole bunch of stuff getting tested in there, so that'll be interesting. There's a G4D Golf for Disabled field as well. They've already started their tournament. Pop Kippett is leading that by 2 shots. He's 3 under par, so we'll get a result for that. Australians in the field. Kip Poppet.
World number 1, I think, isn't he?
He's the world number 1. Our thing about golf guest of the past 2 weeks, Brendan Lawler, is in joint 3rd, 5 shots behind. So have a listen to that. He's a really interesting guy, Brendan. Very hard not to cheer for him after you've been exposed to that. Australians in the field on the women's side, Suo, Sarah Kemp, Karis Davidson and Sarah Jane Smith. So you can tell from their various standings on the LPGA Tour, they've gone a fair way down the exemption lists to fill the field. On the men's side, Connor McKinney, settle down, Huggy. Ryan Ruffles, Blake Windred and Jordan Zunick. So good opportunity for all of those players on both sides of that draw. What do you say about this? I really don't know what to say. Gulgong Castle's not an unknown venue. Hosted the Irish Open in 2020 after Mount Juliet couldn't because of the pandemic restrictions. I don't know what time it is. Victor Perez, Bob McIntyre are the 2 biggest names on the men's side of the draw. Leona Maguire, Georgia Hall on the other. Most of the rest of the sort of names you've read on leaderboards, you don't know anything about them. Anybody could win it. It'll make for an interesting tournament for that reason alone, but I'm going to be watching to see this Castle Rock golf course. I think that's going to be
absolutely
the highlight of the week. Marja, do we ever say that? Maya or Marja Stark?
It's going to be Maya.
Maya?
Yeah. Maya, yeah.
Defending champion. She's not playing this week. Ewan Ferguson, who won the men's last year, is playing this week.
She had a very bad week last week, I think, didn't Maya Stark?
She's such an interesting player. Extraordinarily talented. I've wondered about Maya Stark, whether she's one of those players where a really good caddy might be the final piece of the puzzle for her, one that she listens to. She's just so aggressive. She's such talent, extraordinary, but almost to the point of reckless. She's so good she doesn't know what a silly risk is, almost, in some ways. But yes, surprisingly poor week for her last week. So look, she's not in the field. I'm going to go with Sarah Kemp as my tip because she's been playing well. She's Australian. We like her, and she's been on the podcast, so full marks to her. And on the men's side, Tom McKibben. He's already had a win this year, and he's got a very rare opportunity for Tom McKibben to play on home soil in Northern Ireland. So why not?
Yep,
absolutely. It's as effective as throwing a dart at a list of names, isn't it?
I think Tom McKibben might represent Gulgong Castle as well. So there you go.
Okay, there you go.
So for you.
Which could be a distraction, but it could also be the motivating factor for him. He's a really good player, Tom McKibben. Really good
absolutely.
Player. Really good young player. So,
Logue, give us some thoughts.
I'm going with, I guess, predictably at this point, going with Ewan Ferguson on the men's side.
Well, all the rest are on your list, aren't they? At various times this year, they've all disappointed and been put on the list.
And I've got to tell you, Ewan Ferguson is getting very close to being on the list. This may be his last roll of the dice.
You're on notice, Ferguson.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But look, he really is one of the most highly regarded players in this field, and he has had a great year. I think he's
right at the top of that second tier, isn't he?
Yeah,
first tier of players,
and he's describing it.
He's up for promotion next season.
Will get him up
in the promotion and relegation game. He's ready to go up a tier.
It's up to him now. I've done all I can.
You can't give him.
So
you've been so generous to him, Luke.
We'll see how it goes. On the women's side, I'm going with my heart, and I'm bringing Leona Maguire off the list. I'm bringing her back into the fold. I would love to see her win, obviously, in front of an Irish crowd.
A lot of distractions for her this week. She will be the poster child for the tournament, I would think.
That's
on
right.
both sides.
I just want the story of that.
Yeah,
I want to see that. I think it'd just be absolutely.
That's the journo in you, Luke. You're just cheering for the story, mate.
So yeah, Leona Maguire. They're not far from County Cavan as well, I think. So
where she's from.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I'm going to take Romain Langas because his form looks the best of a lot of the players. So that's my reasoning. And women's side, I'm going to stick with Georgia Hall, who had her best round of the week in the final round of the Women's Open and tied second here last year, kind of class above the majority. So I think pretty straightforward. Finally, the Asian Tour is back on this week with its international series, this time at the home of Lee Westwood Close House in Northern England. Former host of the British Masters, the Colt course is the venue, right near the River Tyne and Hadrian's Wall. There you go. That's just something for it. Designed by Scott McPherson as an ode to Harry Colt. It's actually quite a golf course. Some quirky sort of features like a Roman fort and some walls and stuff, but actually a genuinely interesting layout, so worth taking a look at. In terms of players, there are more than 20 of the regular LIV players in the field, as well as some of the travelling LIV reserves who are all teeing it up, given LIV is now in a 5-week hiatus, so that kind of makes sense. But also, Westwood being attached doesn't hurt, and he is in the field. So is Ian Poulter. And what also helps those two make a start is the fact that their sons, Sam Westwood and Luke Poulter, are getting a start. So the next generation of English golfers, maybe. Patrick Reed and Graham McDowell, major winners in the field. Peter Uhlheim, kind of a heavy favourite, I'd suggest. Aussie side of things, you got 19 Australians teeing it up this week. 19. So included in those are Jed Morgan, who kind of found something in the final round at LIV Bedminster last week. Matt Jones, Tom Power-Horan, Scott Hend, Wade Ormsby, Brendan Jones, and Travis Smythe, just a couple.
Former PGA,
former NT PGA winner.
NT PGA winner
as an amateur.
Travis Smythe.
And he was runner-up at this
Stepping
event
stone
last year. That's how he got a start at LIV the following week. So
that's right. Stepping stone to big things, NT PGA.
That's right. Jordan Zunic won the first one when they brought back as well.
Hey. It's no Women's New South Wales Open at Dubbo, but it is making a name for itself.
Where are we at? We're about half an hour in without you mentioning it. That's a good getting kicked back from the Dubbo
contractually obliged to mention it in the first 28 minutes.
Right. All right. So in terms of who might win, Anaban Lahiri for me, who was very, very good last week to almost sort of win the consolation prize because no one was getting Cam Smith, and been playing some good golf this year, Anaban, and a good guy too. So why not?
Agreed. Yeah.
Logue?
Well, it's hard. My wandering eye finds it very difficult to go past SSP Chowrasia, who is in the field. But he's just an eternal favourite. But I kind of like the chances of, I'll try and say this like Arlo White, Dean Burmester this week.
Yep.
So that's who I'm going with, I think.
Consistent winner, Dean Burmester. And he played decent last week, was in the final group last week. Well, as much as you can have a final group when it's a shotgun start. But anyway. Rod, some thoughts from you?
I was going to go with Anaban Lahiri. I think that's a really good pick. Played well last week. Finished first in the other tournament, the one that Cam Smith wasn't playing. That was some performance from Smith, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable.
Decimate the field there. So I'm going to go with, out here in left field, Hudson Swafford, because it's one of my favourite names in the game. It's up there with Patton Kizire.
Nice.
How far down the list was he in the player field there? Oh, no, you scrolled a fair way down to come up with that.
We've gone almost to 30.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah. Okay. Well done. Yep. All right.
Good work.
Logue, welcome back. We've missed you.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Rod, I long for the day where I can actually miss you because you never go anywhere.
Thank you, all one word.
That will do us for episode 27 of Playing from the Tips presented by Golf Australia magazine. You can track all the action from these events and so much more on the website golfaustralia.com.au, and keep your eyes out this week for the September issue that goes on sale with Jordan Spieth on the cover. You can learn to fix the 7 deadly swing mistakes. Load, pick up a copy. Read the most costly rules blunders in history, and we also have a test of the new T-Series irons by Titleist tested by yours truly. We will be back next week on Playing from the Tips.